And good afternoon to everyone who's joined us for the Legal Aid of Western Ohio Spanish A2J Advanced Directives template, our show and tell of our project. And on the phone today are myself, Cynthia Vaughn, Statewide Technology Project Manager at OLAF, and Upendra Patel, attorney at LAWO. Upendra, if you want to say hi.
Hi.
All right. Thank you. Now I'm going to show my screen. Hopefully you guys are now going to see it flip over. The purpose and the product of this was it's a collaborative project to develop a Spanish version of the A2J Advanced Directive template that we use in Ohio. It's based on a document called Choices, and it's what our palliative care and hospital organizations use for advanced directives in healthcare situation. We had the wonderful talents of Bob Aubin. If you guys have had the pleasure of working with Bob, he's with Capstone, and he's wonderful, very patient and very professional, great guy. Other Ohio organizations that were involved in this included, of course, LAWO is the TIG owner, Advocates for Basic Legal Equality, and we have and also a test partner, Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, tests for usability as well, Pro Seniors, which is an organization in Ohio that covers all 88 counties and work with senior issues. Midwest Care Alliance, who is actually the Choices document owner, if you will, and they're the palliative care organization here in Ohio. Ohio Hospital Association, the Osteopathic Association, State Bar, and the State Medical Association. And we worked collaboratively with these organizations to make sure that, one, the Spanish version was reflective of the English version, and two, that it was appropriate and for use with our Spanish-speaking population. So move on here. Give you an idea of the budget, time frame, and project management. The budget was for $18,000 and some change. The project time period was originally 1 year, but then it was modified just a bit due to some of the changes that were done administratively for compliance in early 2011. We contracted with OLAF, or LAWO contracted with OLAF to provide technology-only project management. We used Basecamp for collaboration, and Basecamp is similar to maybe Central Desktop or any other variety. Jira is another one that you can use to collaborate on a project, maintain artifacts, to-dos, keep all the communications in one place, etc. We used what's called a waterfall phased approach, and as you all know, if you've had a TIG, that they are usually in phases and broken down and cost by phases. The technical term for that is a waterfall approach. I'm going to hold up for just a second here. Steve, if you have a question, let me see here, if you could put it in the box. Your hand is still up, so I want to make sure you had a question or if your hand was just still up. Okay, thanks. Okay, so in using the waterfall approach, we used the Microsoft Project as its schedule development tool and to manage the various activities and tasks on the project. And we used Pica and Excel for timekeeping and budget control, and I'll speak to a second about that. For the programs, the legal service programs who use Pica, they're able to track their time, and we're able to we set up the capability for crystal reports to run automatically and generated the time reports. Then we use Excel to compile and maintain both the time that was spent on the project and also to watch the budget, what was budgeted versus the actual. So those are just some of the tools that we've used to put this together. All right. Now we're going to talk about the translation part of things. And it looks like we have a question. Let's see here. No, maybe not. Jane, if you have a question, let's pop in the box there. I'm trying to keep my eye on the panel as well as the presentation, so bear with me. The hybrid translation approach. We used both Google Translate and bilingual staff for the translation of the English version of the Choices document. And what that means is we, before Google went to a for-fee model with their translation tool, we simply did a cut and paste of English content of the English version, and to see, placed it into Google Translate and measured and took a look at what the quality of that was. And we had bilingual staff do that. A wonderful, wonderful person, Monica Buckley, that works with ABLE. And we utilized that approach to see, one, what was the technology, how good was it in terms of translation, and how much more would have to be done by a human. And we did that and saw that the quality for Google was very high. It looked good, but it wasn't perfect. And it's just like anything else written in English. You give a paragraph to 5 people, and they're all going to have a different way of saying it, but there's a fundamental base of the translation or what you're trying to say there, and everyone understands it. So we got a pretty good base with or a good base with the Google Translate, but it didn't replace the value and the contribution that a human brings to the process. So we would say that it's best to use a hybrid approach when you're doing a project like this to make sure that it's accurate and appropriate. We also looked at, there was more than one game in town, we looked at Babelfish, but it was significantly lower in quality. So it was a good touch base. Did I miss anything on that, Upendra?
No, but having a good person, a partner, you had mentioned Monica, and that was very helpful because having someone that you can call upon at any given time to help you along with the translation and going back and forth, that was really helpful. And that's something that if someone else is going to be doing, that they would need to have a good partner to do that translation piece.
Yeah, and actually picking up on that, I know as the technology-only project manager, I am not bilingual. And I'm not sure how many programs have bilingual project managers for any language. So having Monica helped me just move through just the content itself, and I can pick up a few words here and there as a result, but certainly having an expert, you just can't replace that. So she's wonderful. Okay, so more to where it is and where it lives. It's linked through the Ohio Legal Services website, ohiolegalservices.org, and went live on February 1st, 2012. Now, what we've done to make this easier to find is we put it on what's called our Fund Local Court Forms and Rules page off of our public site. And just to give you a brief data point, our website last year in 2011 had 1.4 million page views on it in the public side of content. That's quite a few. So it is large in terms of that. Now, this particular template, because it lives on the Law Help Interactive, it is a requirement of that agreement that templates be linked through a statewide website. But Ohio has very, very few statewide forms. So we put the Advanced Directive version and the Spanish version right here on this general page of forms. And what you're looking at there that's it in terms of statewide accepted forms. So that's why we put it here where people are coming to look for forms will also see these other forms. Hopefully that made sense. I'm sorry. All right, so when you click through, you go to Law Help Interactive, and it launches the Spanish version, and you can see, and we have an English note here just for us who are not bilingual. And you just simply fill it out, and you start and proceed. Now, hopefully your screen is changing. Let me know if it's not. But what you see here is just the A2J in Spanish using the Spanish version of A2J Author. Pretty straightforward. I am going to do a brief demo for you if you haven't seen something like this before. But it pretty much is the same. Now, what's really cool and unique, at least I think it's cool and unique, is that we have our output after someone completes all of the questions. The output is a PDF that is side-by-side Spanish-English. Now let me tell you that we had a lot of long debates on the format. We thought about things like, well, what if we have all Spanish first and then all English in the finished document? And to give you an idea how long this document can be, with the instructions that go with the Ohio version, it can be up to 45 pages long. So we had to talk about, well, if the document itself, even at least in the English version, is 45 pages long, and then we put Spanish, and it was all 1 page each, and then it's however many pages that is, because you can even see from here it's not always one-to-one word, that would be a really long document. And if someone is working, say an advocate is working with a Spanish speaker in the hospital, if they didn't know Spanish and the pages didn't line up, it could be very confusing not to have what the Spanish means and the English next to it. If that makes sense. So what we did is the side-by-side, and we were very pleased to see how well we think this came out, because at any point on any page, someone who is not bilingual can read what's going on the left-hand side. Anything you want to add to that, Upendra?
No. As you had mentioned, we had experimented or thought about different formats in terms of having Spanish on top and English on the bottom on the same page. But I think we decided to go with this because it was easier for people to follow. They can just go from left to right and figure out that this is what this paragraph's all about. In the next paragraph, they're going to be related to each other.
And I'm going to show you when I do the demo how pretty it looks and nice and clean. So the PDF itself, again, I mentioned Midwest Care Alliance. Their staff was wonderful to work with, and they were the ones that created the actual PDF part that Vaughn integrated for us in the template. So wonderful folks on the project.